Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Homeschool Live. My name is Christine, and I'll be your host today. And joining me today is Traci Bakenhaster from Adulting University. And why don't you give our viewers a little snapshot of who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, I'm the Adulting University person, but I am also a wife and a mom. I have two kiddos that are amazing, love them to death. And they are kind of a driving force behind everything that I do. I have a little bit of a nerdy background, which is interesting, a lot of diversity in my background, which really is why I do what I do now. So I have
Nice.
multiple college degrees, a lot of certifications, and just really a passion for helping parents and the next generation and really preparing them for the next steps in life.
Awesome, awesome. And so today we're talking about navigating options for life after high school. And so before we get into that, I wanted to just chat with you a little bit about what you might see as is one of the biggest challenges that homeschooling families might be facing today. Seeing that you are, this is what you do, you help families navigate some of these different challenges. So, what is one of the biggest ones that you see happening right now?
Yes, I think one of the biggest challenges, and it's across the board for both homeschool and public school families, really is what do I do next? I see a lot of fear in students these days of
Mm-hmm.
making the wrong decisions, going at the wrong career path. Do I go to college? Do I not go to college? Like all these decisions, like kind of analysis paralysis. And I think, especially in the homeschool world, a lot of families sometimes are struggling, like, well, I don't know how to help my kid with this. Like, we don't have a designated guidance counselor. We don't have
Right.
this resource to help us figure out what does that look like and what does my kiddo need to do to get to this path, even if they do have an idea of what they want to do. And so I think that sometimes is one of the biggest challenges across the board that we see right now with youth, of that whole what's next and the fear of the unknown.
Well, and one of the uh, again one of the challenges too is that fear. I guess we should say is that um, they just they're so worried about, especially if you're out there and you have a teenager, you're going through those high school years, and it's just what happens, especially for homeschoolers, because you're not going to have that high school diploma that you supposedly need to get into college. You don't, by the way, but but it's been for those of us who have been in the homeschooling world. We're seeing that there's more and more options becoming available for homeschoolers in particular, but it's just getting it out there and encouraging parents that this is something you can do. Your child does have options, um, but it doesn't always have to be um, college. And I know one of the questions that we've seen is, well, what happens when my kid doesn't want to go to college? Then what on earth are we supposed to do? So why don't you tell us a little bit of what these options could be?
Yes, absolutely. Because I love this question, because I am a true believer, even though I help with college, I'm a true believer college is not for everybody. And I think a lot of students feel like, oh, well, I'm a failure if I don't go to college, or I'm not going to make myself into anything because I don't want to go to college. And that's 100% not true. And there are tons of different options. And so when I work with a student, and we're looking at different pathways outside of college, you have your obviously traditional of, okay, well, I could just go right into the workforce and work my way up somewhere and get skills and do trainings and all those things. But when we look at the other options, a lot of people don't think about, an apprenticeship program. There are so many different apprenticeship options these days, and it's not just in the skilled trades like a lot of people traditionally think. There's actually apprenticeships in healthcare. There's apprenticeships in the government. I mean, they're across the board. And so that is a phenomenal option, because you're actually getting paid to learn. And then you get amazing money when you come out of the apprenticeship with no college debt whatsoever and a solid skill set. The other options, I mean, entrepreneurship obviously is a good one. And I see a lot more of this with students, because that's this generation. They see all of us older adults and they're like, oh, y'all are a hot mess. I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I don't know if I
It's
want to go
true.
up this corporate ladder stuff and
Yeah.
work for the man. Like, they're like, no, not feeling this right now. And so it's really fun to see that creativity and that, well, I kind of want to be my own boss, but they're like, I don't know how to do this, but I would look at maybe owning their own business, even if it's a side hustle. The military, I think the military sometimes still gets shunned, but it's not a place where bad kids go. I mean, there are seriously amazing pathways in the military to get to lifelong career success. I mean, there's people that retire out of the military at 40 years old, go work a whole nother career and retire from that one. And now they're getting full retirement, full lifetime government benefits. Like, it is great options. And it doesn't mean a lot of people diss the military because like, well, I don't want my kid to go get shot at. There are so many jobs in the military that are not frontline jobs.
Yeah.
You could be in IT doing cybersecurity. You could be a nurse. You could do, it's countless. I think last time I looked, the Army itself had over 300 different job options.
Wow.
So it's just kind of thinking outside the box that there are different ways and different options. And then you can still go the workforce route and say, you know what, I want to earn some certifications or self-train myself and go start somewhere. The only thing I always tell parents with that and their students, don't expect to be starting out way up here. You're going to have to start off at entry level roles, because the reality is you don't have experience yet. And even students who go to college have to start at entry level roles. I see that a lot too, where students are like, but I just got my 4-year degree. I should be making $100,000 a year. And I'm like,
still need that experience.
Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of different alternatives besides just college. And the reality is, a lot of times what happens is students will go one of these other routes. They'll find what they're wanting to do. They'll get into it. And then eventually they might still go get a college degree. It's never if or, it's you could do an and. You can go to the military and get a college degree. So there are a lot of different pathways that I love families to be aware of. And even just a gap year, just taking a gap year and figuring it out, finding a great gap year program, seeing the world, traveling, building up that expertise, and then deciding what that next path should be.
Yes, I've heard quite a bit of homeschoolers doing that gap year. And then they end up diving into something that they're passionate about, and because they took that time to figure out what they want to do. And I think I can only speak for my generation. But we were on this track where, you finish those high school years, you go to college. I went to university after college because then they told me college wasn't enough. You need the degree, you need this, and you need that. And so I just kept going and going and going. And like halfway through university, I'm like, why am I hate this? Like, I was doing business management, and why am I hate numbers. And then I ended up changing my field altogether, jumped into English and said I was going to be a teacher, and changed it. But like, meanwhile, you're spending all this money, you're spending all this time, like how many years of my life I wasted. Well, not wasted, because God uses everything that you do for good, and He has. But that's another story for another time. But can you imagine if we actually gave them the opportunity to, because they do have the time, and especially through the teenage years, to before they launch out into the real world, there's no rush.
Yep.
Because you have that flexibility to just take their time, ask them the questions. What is it that you want to do? Try certain things, like, hey, I'm interested in computers, and then, okay, get them a small computer course to see, and try it out. And then, hey, they realize, oh, this is kind of boring, I don't like it. Oh, you just saved yourself years of studying this thing that you would have realized you didn't like it. So let's find something else. Let's find what you really want to do. And so I'm so glad that we as homeschoolers can do that, and I can do that for my kids, because that's the last thing I want to do, is put them on a path because society says so, that this is how it is, you just do this, and then they're unhappy, or they're stuck in a job that they just feel like they have to have, when no one should ever feel stuck.
Yep.
Whether you're you're an entrepreneur, or you're just working for someone, or you're whatever you decide to do, you're just, hopefully you don't have that feeling of being trapped. So
Yeah, exactly. And the college debt, I think that's such an issue in our country, is the college debt. I mean, I'm part of some Facebook groups with parents, and it breaks my heart when I see parents that are like, but my kid really wants to go here, so what loans do I need to take out? I'm just like,
oh
it's not worth it. Like, I understand that's their dream school, but that doesn't mean that's where they need to be. Like,
yeah,
if that's going to set them up for failure in their future, don't do that. Like, don't
yeah,
encourage that. I understand I might be mad at you that you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to allow you to do this. So the reality is, even students as mature as they might be sometimes at 18 or 19, because some really are, they still don't understand the repercussions of those decisions. Like,
yeah,
they don't get it because they've not been there. Where us adults, we know what it feels like to have debt and student loan debt or credit cards or any of these things. They don't understand the weight of that, no matter how mature they are. And so sometimes we do still have to be the parent, even though they're adults, and be like, I'm putting my foot down on this one. Let's find you a better college that's not going to put you into this, because at the end of the day, I care about you and your future and what's going to happen to you, and the fact that I want your dreams to actually come true. And if you're saddled with all the student loan debt, it's going to really hinder what you can do in life.
yeah. I mean, I had friends that were burdened with loans for years and
Yep.
years. I was lucky. I took a very small loan because I did work part-time, and if that's the way my kids want to go, that's the way to do it. If they can work part-time and go to school part-time, um that would be ideal. But so I was able to pay off that small loan within a few months of graduating and finding a job and everything. So, but that was just my story. But I know so many people just burdened, and for the sake of that piece of paper, and many of them didn't even end up in that field. They just
Yep.
kind of, just because they just needed to pay the bills, they just got something else just to do that. And I don't want that for my kids at
Yes.
all.
Yep. Yep. And honestly, the best way to do that really is, well, two ways, is obviously taking the time during the high school years, like you said, and figuring it out, trying things out, really helping your kiddo find the right path then, and not going to college and trying to figure it out. Cause like you said, okay, every time you change your major, that's a dollar sign every single time. And you drop out with no degree, you still have to pay for it. So it's figuring it out beforehand. And then if you are going to go to college, trying to fund it properly, and, scholarships and financial aid, and not taking out loans if
Yeah.
at all possible.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the goal. And so you have already given so many pieces of advice already, but did you have one, special piece of advice that you give to all parents
My
overall?
biggest piece of advice, especially for students that are, middle school, high school age group, is start now. Do not wait till last minute. I see it all the time where students like, oh, I'm about to graduate and it's senior year and I have no plan and I have nothing in place and I haven't done scholarships if I do want to go to college. So I always encourage families, realistically, especially with career exploration, it's never too early to start. I mean, you can start exposing kids as young as elementary school age to career paths, because
Yeah.
you do it in a fun way. There's camps, there's all kinds of great resources. We actually have a freebie that we're offering this week for the homeschool conference. And it is a guide to summer camps, and it's a whole list of summer camp opportunities. So it is just one of those things that start now, do as much exploration and exposure and hands-on as possible before making a what's next decision. Like, figure it out first. What does that path look like? And then start to put those pieces together to determine, okay, is college the best route? If not, what about one of these other amazing alternatives?
Hmm. Yeah. And just giving them the option, like letting them know that they have the option. Um, because I think they feel that pressure too of, okay, well, I have to make a decision,
Mhm.
and then they make a decision, and then they may feel like they need to change it, and then, oh, I don't. But if we're having this conversation early, to let them know, okay, nothing is set in stone. You're not, you know, please don't waste your 5 years or whatever long it is. You can make changes, you can be flexible, so that you can find what you need to, the path that you need to be on. So
Mhm.
thank you, that's really good advice. So tell us a little bit more about Adulting University and all that people can find over there, and all the wonderful resources that you've mentioned already.
Yes. So Adulting University was founded specifically to help homeschool families navigate career, college, and life skills with their teenagers. So again, especially, I know I talked earlier of the aspect, one of the disadvantages with homeschooling is you do not have your own guidance counselor like public schools
Right.
do. So we kind of fill a gap and then go above and beyond that. So in a sense, like having Adulting University, we can do all the things that a guidance counselor would do and more for those families. And we have things for every budget. We have actual curriculum that students can go through. So we have some self-paced courses. We have PDF guides and workbooks and downloads. We even have a subscription that I love, and I'm very excited about this subscription. It's called Your Pocket Guidance Counselor, and it literally is a text
Nice.
program. We use Telegram. You get a private one-on-one chat with us, and you can ask any and all career, college, and life skills questions. You can drop videos, you can drop screen shares. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I am struggling on this FAFSA thing that is going on right now, Traci, tell me more about what to do. And I can talk to you right in there. So in a way, it's kind of like a one-on-one coaching would be, but it's all text-based. So it's like on the go concept, which is great for
Yeah.
families. So that way, whenever you think of something, you just drop it right in the chat and then we'll respond to you. And so that's one of my favorite tools and resources because it's really budget friendly. It is completely
Yeah.
month. It's very flexible for families. And then we have obviously all the way up to one-on-one support. So if families like, hey, Traci, we do want to go to college. We don't want to do student loans. Can you help us with scholarships? Can you help us with navigating what is the best college for the career we want to go to and for our budget? Even on the career side, okay, I don't want to go to college. Can you help me figure that out? We have packages for gap year planning, from career exploration, all kinds of things. Really, everything we talked about today, we can help support to really help students be successful, confident, and prepared for those next steps, and to also help the parents with that too. So we do a lot of parent support as well of, hey, we're here to help you, rather, because some parents, especially in the homeschool world, as you know, like they want to do it themselves, right? Like, hey, teach me how to do this with my kid. Do that model, or we can go directly and teach your kid. So we can kind of do both options, which I really love. Everything we do at Adulting University is faith-based. We don't teach anything against God because that would not do us well at all in the long term. So we definitely do
Love that.
that. So, but that's, I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. Is really the sky's the limit when it comes to those pieces around career, college, and life skills for teenagers.
Very cool. And so I have a selfish question. My kids are not quite there yet, but do you, like, if we weren't in the United States, do you help people outside internationally as
Yes.
well?
Yes. Yep. I don't have too many international clients yet, but I definitely do, especially especially with those traditional things. Like careers are across the board. It's okay.
Right.
How do I find a career path? How do I navigate this process? And college might look a little different internationally in some aspects. I know some countries are really nice and they don't make you pay for college, which is great.
Nope, that happens here.
Oh, darn it.
I'm only asking because we're here in Ontario, Canada. So
Okay.
so I get to hear all these wonderful resources. I'm like, do you have resources for Canadians? Because
Absolutely. Career
I'm
readiness speaks
taking
the
notes.
same.
I'm so taking notes because I am slowly but surely entering into the teenage years. It's coming soon, and I know, like, we're going to start having these conversations, and I want to be prepared. I want to be ready, and so to know that if if I'm struggling, that there is help out there, because yeah, I am not against, hey, if I can't communicate it, if I can get someone else to communicate,
Mhm.
um, that is quite all right in my books. And it's great. It's great. So hey, if you're not if you're outside of the US, you can still contact Adulting University. And just to let you know that the website, it was on the screen, but we also put it in the chat, so you can go ahead and click on over. Is there uh, anything else that we wanted to share, or just how they can meet with you? Or I know you're going to be at a convention coming up
Mhm.
very soon, so you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will be at the Great Homeschool Convention in Cincinnati, Ohio this week. So that is Thursday through Saturday. I actually have 2 sessions that I'll get to speak at, and we'll have a table there. So if you are going to be at that, I would love to meet you. Come over. We're gonna have some great deals and specials, all the fun things for the conference and for attendees. So really excited to have that. Would love to meet you if you're going to be around.
Yeah. And she's great to talk to, just, mom to mom. So definitely, if you're in the area, go and find her and have a chat with her and check out more about Adulting University. Is there, we're going to wrap up, but did anything else pop into your mind that you wanted to just share with our viewers today?
What I will do is if I'll drop my email in the chat because
Sure.
if anybody does want that guide to summer camps, or I have a
Yes.
31-day adulting checklist as well. So those are great
Yes.
resources, completely free. So if somebody wants that, I can drop my email in the chat and you can just send me an email and I will get you that information as well. Or I could actually just drop the form link as well in the comments. So one or the other will be in there.
Perfect. Yes. So just check the comments, and we'll get that to you for sure. So thank you so much for telling us all about Adulting University, and for allowing us to get to know you a little bit more. We're just thankful for all that you do, and we pray God's blessings on this, your work, and we'll call it a ministry, as well as you continue to help homeschooling families. So just thanks, and thank you all for watching today, and we'll see you again for another Homeschool Live. Bye for
Thank
now.
you.